What's up, everybody? And yeah, you guys have seen the title and thumbnail of this video. What happened to all my fish? Let me go ahead and explain. This is my 300 to 500 litre pool pond, depending on how much I fill it up. And as you can see, it's pretty much empty. We have an albino giant gourami, and I don't know if you'll be able to see, but behind that filter is one single red-bellied pacu. That's it. It's completely empty. No arowana, no other pacu, and no red-tail catfish. So what happened to all my fish? Well, as many of you will know, a couple of weeks ago I had an ammonia spike in the pool pond. This happened when I introduced a koi which spawned, and it didn't really cross my mind that it spawning would create a load of ammonia, but it did, and it pretty much knocked out my arowana. My arowana was completely out of it for like 2-3 weeks, and it was not recovering really that much, and it pretty much got taken out by the pacu, yeah. So, then a few weeks later, my Giardini arowana, which was actually in this tank that you're looking at now, got eaten by my red-tailed catfish. And so I had a conundrum on my hands. What am I supposed to do with these fish that keep on killing all my expensive fish? In the end, I decided to sell them. So I sold 5 of my pacu and 1 of my red-tail. I kept 1 pacu. The reason for selling my pacu was twofold. One, I was kind of irritated that it killed my arowana. Quite irritated, very irritated, angry, you can say. Second reason is, no matter how big of a tank I get, and I plan to get a very big tank one day, I really can't see having 6 pacu looking nice in a tank, because eventually they lose that red underbelly and they just become this big grey blob. One of them is okay because the body shape is fairly unique and it makes a cool addition to a tank. 6 of them, in my own mind, seems like a bit much. So, long story short, I sold them. I sold them off to a chap in Birmingham who has had experience keeping red tails and large other fish, and so I have no worries about where I've sent him or sent them. And I pretty much just made it a bit easier for me coming up in the future with 1 big fish instead of 6 or 7. So yeah, that's pretty much what happened to all my fish, and it also means that I don't have to catch so many fish out and try and transfer them when this big tank comes. It'll just mean that shutting down the pool pond will be a lot easier when the time comes, but that does not mean that we haven't been getting nice big fish. That will happen in tomorrow's video. Ooh. So yeah, that's pretty much what's happened today, and yeah, I just decided I didn't want this headache on my head. And even with the red-tailed catfish, it wasn't as if I wasn't going to be able to home it for life, because I was planning to get a big enough tank for it to last it at least 2 years, and then an even bigger tank which would have lasted it its entire lifetime. And these guys can get up to 4 feet long, so you know, I was planning to get a really big tank. But I had an issue when it came to what do I do when I put it in the big tank that I've already ordered, which is a 7 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot tank. Because if I put it in there, then the only fish I'll be able to stock it with is the giant gourami and the pacu. And that's it. Because even if the arowana gets to about 2 feet, it could still be eaten. The Oscar will only ever get to 12 inches. It could still be eaten. Tinfoil barbs, 14 inches, can still be eaten. All these other fish that I have will all pretty much be able to fit in its mouth. And so it kind of ruins my plans to move all these fish together. That's kind of what I wanted to do. And so I decided I had one of 2 options. Either I could have given it back to the pet store and they would have been able to take it off my hands, or I could have given it to somebody who could have given it a good home and had experience taking care of these fish, and that was the option I went with. So you just need to be careful with what fish you get. I learned that, and you know, I would have been able to keep it, I just wouldn't have been happy having it at the end of the day. And I think that's the main thing to realize, is that you need to be happy with what you have, and you have to take responsibility as well. So that's what I tried to do. I tried to find somebody who was willing to give it a good home, or it would have gone back to the pet store, because these guys have massive tanks where they actually have on their website that they go and rehome fish that have outgrown their tanks. They're not just selling fish, they're also willing to rehome fish. So I had one of two options, and I decided that maybe somebody else could enjoy having that fish instead of it just being hidden away somewhere, because it's not like the place that the fish would have been going to otherwise is an aquarium. It's just a fish store, and they'd have been put in the back of the corner somewhere. They'd have been given love by the people at work, they don't get me wrong, but it just, as somebody who's part of the hobby, I thought maybe somebody else would enjoy it. And it was just great to be approached by somebody who's got experience with red tails, so I don't have any worries there. And also they know about the pet store that would be willing to rehome these guys as well, so I have no worries about where they've gone in the future. But yeah, that's pretty much it moving forward. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Hope you guys are keeping safe, and I hope you guys